We gather today to foster our understanding of our place in the universe, embracing the worth and dignity of all, supporting justice, equity, and peace in our world, accepting one another as we search for meaning, and respecting the connectedness of all life. Please take a moment to think of all your friends at MVUC. Greet them here in person or with a comment in the chat box. And remember that you can still reach out to them via email, phone, social media, or video chat. Physical distancing does not need to mean emotional distancing. Let us support one another. Visitors, as we are a diverse group with varying interests and beliefs, our services are varied in format, tone, and topic. We encourage you to view several services to gain a good understanding of our congregation. If you'd like to receive our weekly email newsletter, please email us at news, that's NEWS, at mvuuc.org. MVUC remains committed to supporting our members and friends during and after this difficult time of social distancing. For that reason, we are coordinating assistance with groceries, phone calls, and other needs. If this sounds like something that would be helpful to you, please send an email to sac@mvuuc.org with your name and what kind of assistance you would like to request. Now is the time for announcements. Announcements can be sent ahead of time to services@mvuuc.org to be read. If you have an important announcement now, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Online listeners can also make announcements by clicking the raise hand button in the reactions tab at the bottom right of the Zoom window. Then we will announce your name and turn on your mic and camera so that you can make your announcement yourself. Lisa, I know that you had an announcement to make today.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to remind everyone, since we are in service, thank you for coming, and remember to adhere to social distancing, masks on, overdose, and that's all. Just be really careful.
I would add to that among the recommendations from the UUA for resuming in-person services, they have actually asked us for now not to sing, as singing can be one way that viruses is more likely to be transmitted within a room. We are going to be talking in the next few weeks about how to handle that, including the use of recorded music, humming together if we know the tune well enough. Pardon me? Our pianist, etc. So there will be some other options. We will find some ways around that, but if there's less music than usual, that's why. Robin, were there any other announcements? Oh, wait, we do have one more.
I just thought I'd add along those lines that there's a couple of air filters that are filtering the air in the room, as well as the furnace brings in a lot of outside air. So that's one of the reasons we would need to have the windows.
Today is Fort Caulfield's 91st birthday party. I spoke to those who do not accept the invitation. He told me to invite everybody from.
So in case you did not hear at home, today is the 91st birthday party for Fort Caulfield. Apparently, open invite to everybody connected to MVUC. Do we know where?
And it's a card received from the Republic, 2 to 5, band music,
Where was that again?
His car museum.
His car museum, okay. I didn't realize he had a car museum.
It's a nice place to see.
All right,
Okay, the address,
the address,
3171 North Republic Boulevard. You know, so,
3171 North Republic Boulevard in Toledo,
for church members, 2 to 5.
2 to 5 p.m. today. All right, so free party on Caulfield, got it. Any other announcements? All right, thank you very much, everybody. The chalice will be lit today by Colin Fitzgerald. Are we not gonna have, okay. I'm gonna just go with the, the reading for the lighting of the chalice. Feel free to nod along. Let me know that you're listening. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves, to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. Our opening words today are excerpts from Epiphany in the Beans, from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Maybe it was the smell of ripe tomatoes, or the oriole singing, or that certain slant on a yellow afternoon and the beans hanging thick around it. It just came to me in a wash of happiness that made me laugh out loud, startling the chickadees who were picking at the sunflowers, raining black and white holes on the ground. I knew it was a certainty, as warm and clear as the September sunshine. The land loves you back. She loves us with beans and tomatoes, with roasting ears and blackberries and bird songs, by a shower of gifts and a heavy rain of blessings. She provides for us and teaches us to provide for ourselves. That's what good mothers do. I looked around at the garden and could feel her delight in giving us these beautiful raspberries, squash, basil, potatoes, asparagus, lettuce, kale, and beets, broccoli, peppers, Brussels sprouts, carrots, dill, onions, leeks, spinach. It reminded me of the little girl's answer to, "How much do I love you?" "This much." With arms outstretched, they replied. This is really why I made my daughters learn to garden, so that they would always have a mother to love them, long after I'm gone. In lieu of music, we are going to actually do some additional readings today. Our second reading is the poem Gratitude by Swiftwater. Let's start with the people we love and those who love us. Thankful they are in our lives, obliging us to open our hearts. Let open hearts embrace the earth, the sea, and soil and stars, blessed by bold beauty, the bounty of being. Then with hearts open to beauty, let us embrace the arts and the generation of learning that we should have wisdom. Let what wisdom we have, want and wanting, lead us to strive, so the seventh generation hence can live more fully. It is in that work, and that alone, that we can express our thankful spirit. May we make it so. For the opening to make it so, let us truly be grateful. Amen. We have one last reading, one story for all ages. The First Greek Goddess by Emily Tarbert. Do any of you know about Greek mythology? Do you know any Greek gods or goddesses? Some of the most famous Greek gods and goddesses are Zeus, Hades, Aphrodite. Can you name others? Do you know about the first, and in Greek times believed to be the most powerful of all the gods and goddesses? Her name was Gaia. Gaia had no parents and was born out of chaos and void. She was Mother Earth herself. It was from her that all the gods and goddesses came to be. It was from her that the order of the universe was made. She was Mother Earth, who cared for all her children, gods and goddesses, who cared for plants and animals, and was the goddess of the young. Historians ponder whether she was considered one of the most powerful gods because none of the gods or goddesses could escape her gravity or live away from her universe and center. While there are many other folklore that sees Earth embodied as mother across cultures, countries, and continents, the Greek myths of Gaia, or Mother Earth, are some of the most prominent portrayals of the Earth as a mother figure. Gaia is even used in modern times as a scientific word to help describe the complexity of Earth and climate science and interwoven ecosystems. This first goddess, or Mother Earth, has had a lot of power to stay in our collective imagination until today.
Since we don't have an order of service, just a little introduction to this. You will hear that this presentation references the first reading about the green beans and tomatoes, and you maybe would have caught that if you had the names of the authors in the order of service. So you'll hear something that's familiar. It's a reflection on that reading that we just heard. Today's reflection is entitled "To Love the Earth" by Meg Riley, Senior Minister, Church of the Larger Fellowship. I have described in earlier columns the deep and abiding joy I felt when I began to read Robin Wall Kimmerer's book, Braiding Sweetgrass. Both a scientist and an enrolled member of the Potawatomi Citizen Nation, she describes her relationship with the earth as one of mutuality, generativity, and respect. She articulates better than any other writer I've ever encountered my experience of deep peace when I'm in my garden, where I feel most at one with nature. However, I should also tell you that I hit a point in the book where I could no longer easily accompany her, where my upbringing as a dualistic white Westerner became an obstacle to allowing her to accompany me anymore. In a chapter called Epiphany in the Beans, she describes coming to a profound realization that is fundamental for her. Maybe it was the smell of the ripe tomatoes, or the oriole singing, or that certain slants of light on a yellow afternoon, and the beans hanging thick around me. It just came to me in a wash of happiness that made me laugh out loud. I knew it with a certainty, as warm and clear as the September sunshine. The land loves us back. She loves us with beans and tomatoes, by a shower of gifts and a rain of lessons. She provides for us and teaches us to provide for ourselves. That's what good mothers do. Suddenly, there was no intellectualizing, no rationalizing, just the pure sensation of baskets full of mother love, the ultimate reciprocity, loving and being loved in return. I've been wrestling with this idea since I first encountered it. Does the earth love me? Do I really know that? I think it would feel wonderful to know this kind of love, but my mind keeps twisting. Isn't it kind of anthropomorphic? I asked a friend who says she knows in her very cells that the earth loves her. In other words, isn't that attributing human traits to something that is not human? My friend drew herself up and said quietly, but with clear and focused anger, I absolutely hate that question. Do you see the arrogance of that question? That question presumes that humans are the ones who know how to love, that love begins with us, that we invented love. How dare we presume that? That stopped me and set me to ruminating more. My friend is right. I stand firmly in my committed belief that love is the strongest force in the universe, and that human ability to love is a gift we are given, not something we invented. I don't care if people call it source God or life or just affirm love without worrying about its source. So why am I so stopped by fear when I consider publicly naming Earth as the biggest source of love I know? Why do I worry about ridicule, about being thought simple for believing this when I have so much tangible evidence, starting with my very breath and body of the earth as a source of love? Ultimately, unable to stand my own mental contortions on the subject, I decided to approach the question in a different way. Kimmerer suggested this after she found graduate students who hit the same wall of rationality and freezing that I did when confronting the question. She asked them, what do you suppose would happen if people believed this crazy notion that the earth loves us back? She describes what happened when she framed the question this way. The floodgates opened. They all wanted to talk at once. We were suddenly off the deep end, heading for world peace and perfect harmony. One student summed it up, you wouldn't harm what gives you love. So I can hypothetically imagine what it would be to believe the earth loves me, loves all of us earthlings. Still, I want to go deeper with this. My friend, who knows the earth loves her, spent several months in deep meditation, simply feeling that love. I'm shy about this, but I want to know that same kind of love. In these winter months, when gardening is not a daily experience for me, I am instead committed to exploring whether I can feel the love of the earth. Kimmerer again. Knowing you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. Yes, I know this in my bones. But then she continues. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. It is medicine for broken land and empty hearts. I want to know that sacred bond enough to struggle for it if need be. Even more than I need the approval of my scientist father and rational readers here, who I imagine shaking their head disdainfully now. I can say, I love you easily and without hesitation to the life that unfolds before me in my garden. I love the earth as I plant and weed and tend and harvest and tuck in for the winter. Now I need to take time to be quiet, to receive love. Winter in Minnesota and other northern climates is a good time for listening to the earth. Without the distraction of all that activity, with the garden in a time of deep rest and hibernation, perhaps I will find something deeper in myself, a pathway I haven't felt before that can receive the earth's love. In the meantime, I'll bring out beans and corn and tomato sauce from the freezer and remember the earth's generosity that allowed them to grow.
Thank you, Colleen. In thinking about the connection between today's reflection and our own UU principles, I keep in my mind coming back to the work of noted Black feminist and cultural critic Bell Hooks. In her book, All About Love, Bell Hooks talks to us about what it means as people who experience trauma, who experience loss, who experience abuse, what it means to try to embrace love in your own life and to live it every day. She talks about the importance of looking at love not as a noun, but as a verb, to look at it in our everyday actions. And she says that one of the problems we have in embracing love, in seeing ourselves as worthy of giving and receiving love, is that we never take the time to actually define what we mean by it. She draws on author S.W. Peck, who describes and defines love as that which nurtures our own and other people's spiritual growth. If we start with that as our definition of what it means to love, then why shouldn't we see love in the earth? Why shouldn't we see the earth, an entity that we often talk about as nurturing us, as giving birth to us, as supporting our very survival and growth as people? Why shouldn't we see it as capable of love in its own right? In keeping with our principles about the interconnectedness of all life, sometimes we have to take a step back and remind ourselves, of course, that we are not the only life force that exists. In the reflection that Colleen shared with us today, we're reminded that as much as we tend to center our own human experience and see everything as emanating from it, we would do well to remind ourselves of our connection to the larger world, to the universe around us, to its rhythms, and to in turn think that maybe we've actually received more from that relationship than we've ever realized. Now more than ever, we are counting on your pledge payments and donations to help sustain and strengthen this congregation that is so important to all of us, supporting our efforts to be a community of love, truth, justice, and service. Those online, please click on the link in the chat box or scan the QR code and be sure to select the correct designation on the drop-down box when you donate. For those in person, we will be sending around baskets. Do they have the QR codes in there? Yeah, so you can donate electronically if you wish. You can also sign up for automatic recurring donations to help advance the work of MPUC. Thank you. You can make your first. Yeah.
Now is the time for sharing of joys, concerns, and milestones. Please stop recording at this time.
Our closing words today are from Stephen M. Schick. Spirit of life, God of love, I am entwined in your delicate web of mutuality. The life energy that makes me reach for the sun also moves me to become wrapped, like the strong, bittersweet vine and the delicate sweet pea around those I meet and love. Here in the tangle of my daily life, I feel your pulse and sense what it means to be alive. Here, twisted and knotted, I thrive, seeking the light that will pull from me the fragrant blossom of love. Spirit of life, help me to experience the beauty of your interwoven and intricate web, that I might always embrace without reserve all those whom my life touches. For those online who are able to do so, please join me in reading the words for extinguishing our chalice that can be found in your order of service and in comments in the chalice. As we extinguish this chalice, let us remember that the care of the earth is our most ancient and most worthy, and after all, our most pleasing responsibility. To cherish what remains of it and to foster its renewal is our only legitimate hope. After closing today, please feel free to stay and chat with your fellow MVUC members and friends during our coffee hour. Online participants can turn on their videos and mics. Now, if we are feeling intrepid and want to hum together, let us hum Go With a Song in Your Heart. You probably don't need the words, so, and you all know the tune. So, if folks are ready, all right, we're gonna do this. Mm-hmm.